What's up, y'all? Today I'll be showing y'all my devlog, but if you're like me and you love football and video games, please take a second to check out ESG Football 25. ESG Football is the first fully online, fully 11 on 11, or 7v7 football experience. It's giving me vibes of backyard football, NFL Street, 2K, and there's a whole community online. Go ahead, follow their page, keep up with the game if you want to hear more updates. I'll be making more videos on that soon, but for right now, we're going to be looking at a game that I'm making. Now, before we get too far into it, I have been very busy. So we just finished all season workouts and my motherboard is fried. So I'm looking into fixing that or getting a new computer. It's crazy because it was right after I updated my Unreal. A quick moment of silence for my dog because he got me through school. But before my motherboard went all haywire, I did do some pretty cool things on it. For example, this scene. I modeled and rendered this scene in 3D Maya with the help of Mix&Mo's Auto Rigger, finding various reasons to graphic design so that I can keep my Photoshop skills fresh. Then I've been making songs so I don't get copyrighted in the videos, but that's not what y'all came for. Y'all came to see me making a video game, so unfortunately, I had to learn the code. It's cool because I took coding classes, but I didn't really feel like coding, so I started watching some Unreal tutorials because I knew that Unreal used blueprints and I could just drag and drop the blueprint. So it was pretty cool learning how to implement procedural animation techniques like hit reactions and deaths. The next step was custom character implementation, which unfortunately I did incorrectly and it crashed the whole project that you just saw me working on. So I had to restart, but it's fine. I promise it's fine. And it's fine because that was right before the global game jam assignment that we get in the game design course at MyCareer, which was always my favorite assignment because you just get thrown in and told to make a game. But this time I always wanted to make a third-person shooter game, so I decided to tackle making one solo. I always had a dream of just making a game by myself, cranking it out, and then sending it to my friends to play. This one never quite got to those stages, but I was pretty satisfied with how far I came in like a weekend. It was like 2 days. I followed this super great tutorial on how to make your first third-person shooter game in Unreal. It helped me create the AI behavior tree, the health bar system for both the player and the AI, teammates for AI companions, my first third-person shooting system, camera dynamic transitions, most importantly, how to adapt to a theme. Because once I made the game, I realized I had to adapt it to the theme of comedy, which was the overall theme of the game that you had to submit for the global game jam. Because if you don't know, there's like a requirement so that you have to make the game. Otherwise, you could just send in a game that's already made. I've made a lot of games for class. For example, Overgrown is one of the games I had the pleasure of being in a great group in another game jam of making. I was responsible for modeling the enemies, modeling the main character, modeling the weapon, the flamethrower that he's using. I also had to model some levels which didn't transfer over well, which inspired me to work on some level design in the game that I wanted to make. So for this game, I knew I wanted a fluid combat system, so I was utilizing the ALS combat system, I want to say. I'm gonna link it in the description, all the combat systems that I used and stuff that you see in the video that I used to help me learn these things. But after watching about 50 tutorials on weapon systems, ammunition systems, pickup systems, and storage systems, next I knew I wanted the game to feel like an arcade shooter like Army of Two or like Gears of War. So I was gonna add spawners so that you could see them pop up, but the map wasn't gonna be that big, so you could just run around, see enemies pop up, and shoot them as they pop up. You know, kind of like an arcade game. That ran into problems because somehow when I implemented the new combat system that you see on the screen with the new UI, I just got that off the Unreal Marketplace, it dismantled the ability to mantle. I was thinking about just dropping all the ideas I had for mantling, but then I realized that that's like the core concept that I was going for, like smooth animations. Mantling is part of the smooth animations. So then I was like, I should just take it in a different direction. I decided to make the shooting system a little simpler because honestly, there's no reason that you need to be unarmed, but for story purposes, I still wanted it to be a state that the player can switch into. With this newfound direction, I re-implemented the combat system because I thought it'd be easier and faster. And it was pretty easy to plug in, see what I missed once I followed the tutorial a second time. Sometimes it's just like that. Sometimes you just gotta do it and do it again. With this combat system implemented, I was one step closer to the game that I wanted to make, which is a co-op third-person shooter that it feels open world, but it's really just a whole bunch of little combat bowls. So in order to achieve that goal, I had to learn some things about visual storytelling
to ensure the player was fully immersed in the environment.
In school, they taught me how to make levels. They did not tell me it was that hard. So these are some example levels that I made for Overgrown, the game that I just showed you, along with the enemies that I made. I learned this in a class at MyCareer 3D modeling. We learned a bunch of skills in 3D Maya, with the end goal being our final being a 3D scene render, which I went for an alien abduction. Back to level design though. We learned the most important thing in level design is flow. As you can see from the flow chart, you want a good balance of skill and challenge so that the player doesn't get too bored. This combined with where we set our actions, our character interactions, mechanics to be shown, helps create a level, progressive storytelling. Unfortunately, my laptop crashed before I could record that part, so back to the old stuff, I guess. Here's a little animation reel that I showed. The animations I made in Blender, rigging and skinning these characters for my most recent game, Phase 4, our game's capping project. In this project, I was one of the only animators, so I made not only 55 plus animations for each character, I also modeled the gas cat skeleton that you see right here. So that was a pretty fun experience, learning weight balance, creature movements, 4-legged animal movements, 6-legged animal movements, VFX, just for fun, you know what I'm saying? But if you want to check that out, you can find it. It's called Phase 4. It's out on itch.io. And this is a little part of the trailer. Phase 4 is an arena shooter with a rich background. Shout out to the writers. You can dive more into that if you feel. But I was responsible for being on the design team, the animations, obviously. I also helped create the hardport and game mode and some of the character classes, which complement different playstyles, which also complement the characters' personalities. It's a really cool game. I really highly advise you check it out. It was really fun making it. You can see all the effort that we put into it over the semester. It was made in Unity, so we got a lot of practice with UV mapping, with skinning, rigging, with animation retargeting, and animation blending. With all that being said though, one day after work, I just decided to turn on my PlayStation, and it didn't work. So I decided to boot up this all-time classic so that I could take some level design lessons from a game designer way better than me. Me at like 11 years old. Other than flow, some things I was looking for in these were meaningful for character agency and immersion, because I know I was really big on immersion back then. Surprise and discovery. Next, you might notice the pacing's a bit fast, but I was either 11 or 13, and I was really just interested in loop-de-loops and jumping in sharks. So almost all the parks you're gonna see are gonna start off with a super speed gainer in the beginning, similar to the super ultra mega park that you'll find in Skate 3. The first park was pretty trash, I'll be honest, but it wouldn't be a devlog if I just said it was trash and didn't say why. So for these next few parks I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna utilize a system of ranking with a flowchart that I made. And this flowchart is mostly gonna cover environment, agency, how well the game mechanics are pushed to be introduced by the path that you get to choose, and flow. Starting with this pipe route, it's supposed to be smooth. You're supposed to gain speed going down the pipe and then obviously hit the jump. I'm gonna say that one was a skill issue, but it's really hard to maintain speed because the way that the pipe falls is just very awkward. There's a little 90-degree bend. So Q1 on my chart is not my favorite because of that rough transition in the pipe, and the pipe is one of the main attractions for this park. Why is it named Q1? I don't know. I was like 12 and lazy, and this was like first full park that I made. Honestly, the rest of the park is pretty similar to the next park that I'm gonna show you because it was the park that I made directly after it. So without further ado, the first map that we will actually be judging, Candy. Why it's called Candy? because I colored the pipe to look like a candy cane. Also, I just really like candy, and I was like 12 at the time. So off the rip, I noticed this one had a smoother level of challenge, as it was hard to get a transition from the candy cane pipe to the other end. But I knew that it was possible, and I got it. I didn't say I landed it, I said I got it. But regardless, when I got to the other side, I felt pretty accomplished. So that was a plus in my flowchart. It would be a better plus if I could confirm that I landed it. But for the video purposes, I didn't want to spend all day landing this. I wanted to see more of the agency, more of the surprise, more of the environment that I built. So you come out of this pipe into a quarter pipe section so that you could just do some free tricks or whatever. And then I noticed it looks like you can kickflip your way up into a little bowl area. That sounds right because it's consistent with the theme of just getting a lot of points. This was modeled after, if you ever watched the X Games where they have that little alley and they go get as many points as they can on that run. I really wanted something like that where you could just have 2 half pipes, 2 quarter pipes, and just run up as many points as you want. They also have the ground section inspired by the street competitions that you can participate in the game and on the spot or kill the spot on. All in all, I think the flow of this one was pretty good. I think the transitions were easy enough, except for the more challenging pipe transition. So that would give the player something to look forward to grinding for. But the rest is something that he can relax and just leisurely explore. It is also a pretty biased flowchart because it's myself grading myself. But I think it could be better in presentation. It's just pretty boring. I thought it would be cool to have diagonal rails, but they're really just impossible to grind. So they're just there. Another issue in this map is lack of balance. It's very long. It leads the eye straight, so it shows the player that you're supposed to just have long lines of tricks, but they're kind of hard to accomplish. At least you can still get big speed though. This part was kind of satisfying, I'm not gonna lie. Thread the needle, land the big jump. That's what dreams are made of. That's what skate parks are made for. Then you can see here the placement of this quarter pipe was to collect the player's speed and then redirect him to a mini skate park inside of this bowl. Though it didn't work. Unfortunately, I'm not judging the brightness of the idea. I'm judging the flow of the level design, and this level just doesn't have the flow necessary to come top 3 in this rankings list. It was still fun to skate around in though, just not as fun as I would have liked it to be. With that being said, moving on to the next map, 42. I will say the Unity is a little better. The color scheme, you know what I'm saying? You see the checker pattern in the background. If you caught that, you're gonna see it in a second. But yeah, I felt this map flowed a little bit better, with the challenge being a little hard to get down the stairs. If you don't get enough speed, you actually will hit the stairs on this map. So I did enjoy that. You see I stopped and went backwards at the end here, but the momentum was supposed to have you grab the board so that you could do a smooth transition. So that's a good little gameplay mechanic to be explored. I'm really a sucker for flips, so this first little path that I made, it was great for flips, and also it gave a little bit of challenge to get down the stairs by landing all the tricks cleanly. So this one is feeling better than the first map already. The next path, as you probably could guess, is a big air gainer inspired by the infamous Jump the Shark challenge in Skate 3. This one is fun and it gives you a lot of opportunities to do big tricks that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do, like front flips, back flips, grab tricks, double kick flips or whatever, late heel flips. But it's really hard to land, and I was skating in easy mode, so I was more on the side that you wouldn't land this more often than you would, so that hurts the flow a little bit. But moving on to the third path, bonus points for the couches and the little chill station you see right there with the vending machine for discoverability and agency. Even though it doesn't enhance the gameplay, it'll help with the character with a feeling of immersion, as the character has the option to chill somewhere in the skate park. But for the drop, I tested that the drop is possible, but it's kind of hard to maintain your speed to clear the gap. Once you do though, It's a good combination of challenge and reward based on the player's skill. So that was cool. The transition over was still a little hard as it was on the first path. So that hurts the score a little bit, but hopefully we can make it better with the rest of the park. As you can probably see in the background, the rest of the park is just a bunch of bowls designed to accumulate a high score multiplier that you see in the bottom left corner of the screen. The higher the score multiplier, the higher this skill score chain is going to end up. So I just wanted to create an area where you could free skate and just run up a crazy combo. Once you do manage enough speed and a clean transition, it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I like the little architecture of it. It's really wavy, allowing more horizontal tricks to be done. I kind of don't like how you have to constantly move because it's very hard to just go straight. But once you get to this back part, to be honest, I just wanted to recreate Shaun White's third Olympic gold medal run with a skateboard on the half pipe. But I feel like this is a cool little place to run up some combos. 2 mini bowls so that you could do essentially the same thing but just deeper and like closer. Gain speed, get out the mini bowl. I don't know, it's a okay map. I'll give you a little pass through the middle so that you can see what the map looks like and how it's supposed to be played. Although, albeit it didn't work as smoothly as I thought it would, there was discovery, so that's a plus. Next, a map that is in the top 3, so I had to be like 13 when I made this one with all this experience under my belt. T-Easy is all pink. I don't know why, it just is because it looked cool. This map was meant to bring the adrenaline you get from those big high-speed gap clears while also incorporating skill with the tubes you see. It's going to take a lot more maneuverability to correctly get in and out of the tubes, both in the main path and in the side path. You can see here me replacing this barrier that I accidentally deleted so that you can grind and have a smooth transition into either the mega bowl below or the pipe transition below. I just had to let the clip play because for a second there, that was flow. I'm not gonna lie. You land this trick and get to the back, however, and it's pretty boring again. It was really made for one purpose, and that was to go fast, straight line, speed. So that brings us to the main path, which is a difficult pipe transition, but it's also a little more difficult because you might not see, but in the beginning path, there's a bump that if you go straight, the bump will throw you off course, so you have to do a trick. Once you get to the back of this difficult pipe transition, it is very difficult. Trust me, you're supposed to Superman dunk your skateboard. Now I didn't have enough speed to do it there, and unfortunately through the rest of this I didn't get enough speed to do it either, but I kind of enjoy that challenge. So this map scores a higher flow rating because of that to me. The third path on this map is another pipe transition, this one uneven, leading the player to take a regular path with the skateboard, which I thought was a nice challenge, but most people probably wouldn't get it, and it was laid out kind of weird, so that might hurt the score a little bit. It's also pretty difficult, so I feel like that helps in this case, but it is very easy to lose control of your skateboard and where you're going on this map. The mega screens in the middle add a little life to it with the camera environment immersion, so I like that part. This transition, I put it there because I tested and it worked, but when I kept testing it, I found that you could do a kind of secret path transition to the next path of the map. So I kept it there so that you could have an alternative path to, you guessed it, jump the shark. One of the most iconic things of Skate 3 is jumping the shark, and I just really love to do it. So every park I made, there had to be an area that theoretically had enough space and air to jump the shark. In this one, I just took it literally, count it, put 3 sharks there. Also, it is worth mentioning that the alternative transition was not a smooth one. Like, you would get up there, but you would stand still. But I just kept it there because it wasn't the main focus. So that's gonna hurt the flow score. Also, this doesn't really work. It's a huge bowl, but the depth that you would need the speed. And the object in the middle would like ruin the speed. anywhere. So I don't know what I was thinking when I made that. I just kind of never deleted it. Overall on the flow chart, this one's gonna score higher than 42. There's a good mix of skill and challenge. Agency is there with the 4 paths. The hidden path is a little bonus, but not really much of a bonus because it's really hard to use, and when you can use it, you don't retain any speed. And it's really hard to finish the dunk in the back, so that helps with the flow a little bit. But moving on to the next map. This one's gonna be fast because I literally designed it to be a loop-de-loop, and then everything else I kind of threw together. And when I tested it, nothing else really worked. I'm not gonna lie, you can't land anywhere on this map, so this map automatically the flow test. It doesn't flow at all. I made this map right after Q1, so it resembles Q1 in a lot of ways. T11 was named T11 because I was 11 when I made it, I'm pretty sure. So I just looked up when Skate 3 shut off their skate park servers, and it was 2015, which means the next part that I'm going to show you, I was 14 because I made these over 3 years. I only remember that because I wanted to go download a skate park I saw on YouTube, and I saw that the servers were shut down like 2 months before I saw that video, so I was like kind of mad. But yeah, I digress. You can't land that trick. Yeah, you can, but there's really like that ramp you see in the back, it leads into an impossible transition, so I don't even feel it's necessary to show you because there's no smooth route if you land that one. The next park in question I will refer to as my skate park magnum opus, my-ish. I can see why my 14-year-old self was so proud though, because this is by far the map with the best flow. I'm gonna start with the alternate path to get onto the jump the shark. It deceivingly looks like a jump of itself, which I fell for in that clip you just seen, but you will see later that it is just an alternative path to get into the main path of this map. I was low-key mad playing it because I remember I was so proud of this map, and I was like, why would it just have a ramp leading to nothing? But then I got hit by a slime. For that one, I can finally say that the environment played a part in the gameplay, so it was enjoyable. So that was exciting to see. And then transitioned into this little street park. I wanted the flow to be smoother so that you could have more tricks on low ground. And I just thought the easiest way to have grinds would be to have a stair section similar to the park in the University District in Skate 3. So far, you can see why I've been the most proud of this one, because this one just is the most smooth, honestly, and that is emphasized in this clip. Honestly, I wasn't even trying to do, I was trying to go back to the skate park, but that little transition right there, I was like, oh, that's kind of hard, because I could get back in, and I would just say that's a skill issue. I could have got more speed. Revisiting that alternative path to the main path, like I said, I was all about immersion, and I knew this would add agency. I didn't know it was called agency at the time, but I knew that this would add a layer of immersion to the skate course. So that's the main path, and you might have seen a whole bunch of mini sections as we passed by, because I realized that transitioning to the mini sections was not my forte, so I just put them where they're easily accessible and you can get there smoothly. The back of the run, I guess you could say, is just a smooth little grind and some things up top that you could get points on, but the point was to get all the speed, come down to this mega super big half pipe, and then just run up some point combos, grinds, skate style, street style, big air, skate 3 specials, some mail whips, some Skywalker 540s, you know what I'm talking about. Though nothing in this world is perfect though, I did get to the back of the run, or the back of the skate park, and realized that this is an impossible ramp to go up off of. I wanted to redirect the speed and then bring it back, but I never fixed it. So yeah, there's that. And last but not least, I get to show you the rail that closes the loop of this bowl section in the back that you can grind and get across, and then whatever you want to do to get points. But that's all I get to show you because my controller died before I could show you the half pipe and the full bowl. But they work as intended. It's a half pipe and a full bowl. But until next time, leave a like and a comment if you got this far, and I'll catch y'all next time.